Hey guys, welcome to The Sophisticated Scoundrel. Today we're going to talk about how to give up some of those vices like sex, drugs, and rock and roll and focus on yourself. But before we do that, don't forget to download my free guide that I just put out. And actually this would be very helpful for today's topic because it's 5 steps that a man can take to find his mission in life. Free download, and it's a completely workable worksheet that will take you through the steps to find your mission so you can alleviate a lot of the other bullshit going on in your life. Once you have your mission, so many of the other issues that you might be facing melt away. Okay, so let's get into this. This is a follower. He asked me this question. So how do you focus on yourself and forget about the vices like sex, drugs, and alcohol? Well, this is a really good question because I think a lot of men out there have coping mechanisms. And I did a video a couple of weeks ago about how your coping mechanisms are causing you to self-sabotage. But let me give you, in today's video, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on what you can do to focus in on yourself instead of doing these other things. The first thing that you need to understand is that when you have a vice like sex, drugs, and alcohol, you have this because you're trying to not think about something else. It's a way for you to alleviate some other pain or trauma in your life. So you use a substance like booze or drugs to not let yourself feel that thing. And so when you are focusing on yourself, well, guess what? You're feeling those painful things and you're almost even amplifying it. Because if you're just sitting here with absolutely nothing, no other distraction, you start to think about your thoughts. Oh God, like what am I doing? Or you're thinking about, man, my childhood has sucked, or I'm a loser, or I have no job. Everything that you are avoiding thinking about, well, it all starts to get louder and louder in your head. I know this because I've been there before myself. So then how do you focus on yourself? Well, one of the most important things that you can do is address what it is that you're trying to escape from. And this is where the real tough work begins. If you can address your pain, let's say you were teased a lot as a kid and that has somehow caused you to have really low self-esteem, and it causes you to drink because if you drink you can forget about being teased and made fun of because you think you're the worst person around. Okay, there's a lot of people like that, a lot of men like that. So let's say you are just sitting there and you start to think about that and you look in the mirror and you think, man, I'm a loser because everybody said I was a loser. Well, instead of reaching for that mechanism, that numbing mechanism, you sit with that pain. Okay? If you want a challenge, this is it. You sit with this pain but you don't want to hold it in. You want to let it out, but you want to experience it. What I do and what I recommend you try is getting a journal and physically, don't type it in your phone, get a pen, get a piece of paper, physically write it out, okay? You're going to write something along the lines of, I feel like the biggest loser because I was made fun of my whole, elementary school career. Everyone called me ugly, they called me short, they called me fat, and it pisses me off. I feel like I am a loser. I mean, why would anybody like me if I'm a loser? You're going to write all of this down. You're going to get out every single thing that you feel about yourself that you would normally be covering up with that other thing. You're going to write all this shit out. And once you go, just like let it flow. It doesn't have to be proper grammar, good handwriting. It's not even about, you're not probably going to read it. You just want to get it physically out of your body. That simple act of writing out, it has a very cathartic effect of pushing out that negative stuff. And you're going to want to keep doing that until you calm down. And if you can stick with it and just keep going until you just get all that tension out, surprisingly, for a little while, you will feel relief. Now, is it about writing it one time and being, okay, cool, I'm cured? No. That's not what it's like at all. You're going to have to repeat this. Whenever those feelings arise, you're going to have to repeat this and do it again. Write something else. You need to get out whatever it is that you have inside on paper. You have to get it out of your body somehow. And writing it out is a really good way to do it. So that's the first thing that I want you to try is get honest with yourself. Write the things that you're afraid to write. Write the things about yourself that you're ashamed of. Write the things that you don't want anybody else to know, because this notebook is just for you, man. Get that stuff out and feel it. Once you do, it kind of starts to leave your body, especially if you do this over and over again whenever you get in that zone of wanting to numb it out with something else. So that's the first thing. The other way you can do it, which is a very common way, is obviously physical exertion. One thing I used to do, I'd put on my shoes, my running shoes, and just run like mad. Like if I was having some sort of anxiety or some sort of a, icky feeling, I'd get on the shoes and just fucking run up a hill, just like till you're just almost like gasping for air. You get all of that anxious feeling out of your system. It's very similar to the writing thing. You're putting it outside of your body. When you do that, it's almost as if you have nothing left and you don't even have the energy to drink something or whatever. It really helps to alleviate those things that, again, you want to cover up. So that physical exertion, go punch a punching bag, enroll in boxing. This is, again, why the physical part of a man's recovery is essential, because a man needs to move his body. Moving his body moves his emotions and clears his palate. So remember that. You want to clear that with some sort of a writing or physical exertion. Get yourself so tired, you're just too damn tired to do anything else. The third thing that you can do is to join a self-help group. If you sincerely have an issue with drugs or sex or alcohol, there are groups for that. There's Alcoholics Anonymous. There's Sex Addicts Anonymous. And there's, I think, Narcotics Anonymous, NA, I believe it's called. There's different groups for the different things. Now, why would you want to join a group like this? Well, one powerful thing that it does is it lets you know that you're not alone. You're not the only one battling this thing. And I think a lot of people think that they're the only ones going through this and they have no one to turn to. They're too ashamed to tell someone about their problem. But if you go to a group like that, everyone else is just like you. They're going through their own shit, and you can share it with no judgment, and you just get things off your chest, and you have a place to go back to. It becomes sort of a second family for you to get this part of yourself out in a very anonymous way. You don't know who these people are when you see them, but you're not sharing last names or any of that kind of stuff. You're just holding each other accountable, and you have a group of men that you can work through some of these things with. Now, why is this good? Well, because it allows you a place to, again, exert and get those feelings out verbally. It's all about getting the shit out. 2, it provides accountability. If you have to go to a group, look a bunch of men in the eye and say that you drank, there's a little bit of pressure on you. And if everyone else isn't drinking or doing drugs, well, you certainly don't want to be the only one doing that, right? So it provides that accountability and gives you the extra support to okay, I'm going to hang in there. If they're doing it, I can do it. And a lot of times with these groups, you're going to have some sort of an accountability partner that you'll work with. They're called a sponsor that you work with to get through some of these issues. So that's the third thing. Now let's kind of switch gears a little bit. I want you to walk yourself down the road. What happens if you don't focus on yourself? Let's say you're just gonna go batshit crazy, drink, sex, just, fuck everybody, do drugs every night. Let's just walk down that road. What happens to you? Do you think you're gonna be around for very long? Do you think you're gonna live in 10 years? Are you gonna be happy? Or are you gonna be destitute and be somewhere on the street as a homeless person? Is that the legacy that you want to leave behind, known as a drug addict or an alcoholic, or whatever it is that you are doing? Think about this from your future self and what memory you will leave behind. Use that sort of to men, an image is very big. And think about that image that you're leaving behind. What are people going to whisper when you're not around? What are people going to say about you behind your back? Or when you're dead, how will people remember you? Use this, I don't want to call it vain, but use this, your reputation, your image, to kind of hold yourself accountable and kick yourself in the ass a little bit. I mean, I use myself as an example. If I, because in an earlier video I shared, I was a really big workaholic. I was just working all the time, and my relationship suffered and things like that. And so when I look back and people just say, oh yeah, he worked all the time. Like, is that the legacy that I want to leave behind? Well, granted, working is great. I'm proud of that. But that's not the only thing that I want to have left behind. I want to help other people. I wanted to be someone that was a positive influence on my family or my friends, people in my life. So that involved me being able to take time away from work to go do those things. So that was something that's very important to me, and I think that you need to think about that when you are not focusing on yourself. We've gotten really used to telling ourselves to enjoy the moment. What is it? What's that one? YOLO? Yeah, YOLO. You only live once type of mentality where we don't give a fuck. We don't care. But hey, I'm old school, and I think we need to think about that, because if you are telling that you're doing something wrong here, man, you know that you should be focusing on yourself. So hold yourself accountable. Just grit your teeth, and this is where where masculinity is very, very important. You need to have this emotional self-control to make sure you're not fucking around and that you're not letting yourself go down that path. There's not much more to say than that. This is what it means to be a masculine man. And if you're going around, if you think you are, if you're trying to be, well, that kind of behavior, that's not being not able to control yourself, it's not masculine. And so if you're working on those kinds of things, you need to keep that in mind. Hold yourself accountable. We need to do this. And if the group setting doesn't work, maybe there's a friend that you have that can work on it, or maybe there's a coach. Work with a coach. They certainly will keep your butt in line. They can hire me, and I'll kick your ass a little bit here to keep you going. But you got to want it yourself. Even with a coach, if you're not gonna dedicate yourself to it and actually say, look, I'm gonna change my behavior. If you're not willing to do that, well, it doesn't matter how good the coach is. If you're not willing to take their advice and actually change your behaviors, then you're just going to keep repeating the same patterns. So, think about, like I said, that legacy that you leave behind. And you don't need to solve everything in a day. You just take one day at a time. You decide that today I'm going to get my emotions in a notebook, my journal, and get that shit out, and I'm going to work on something that I think will benefit my life. Just take with that one day, one small step. And you do another day, and then a week, and then a month, and once this accrues over time, you're like, well, shit, I've been going this long. I don't want to break my streak, So these are just a few things. This is a deep topic, so it's tough to cover it all in one sit down. But I hope this gives you a little bit of a insight into some things that you can actually start to do, some action that you can take. If you do have questions, feel free to ask me down below, comment below. Anybody else who watches this video, feel free to comment below. If you would like to talk to me though, one-on-one, schedule a one-on-one clarity call, which is essentially a coaching session. I have links down below that you can click on to book a call with yours truly. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.